sweating my tits off.
Greetings, I'm Rob Chapman.
And I'm the captain.
And I'm Baritone.
And we just realised that despite the fact that we've known Rabea and loved him for many, many, many years, and Rabea's had a signature guitar with Chapman guitars for many, many years, we've sold hundreds of them, we've never done a video about them.
No, we've never done.
Mad.
Because I guess we just kind of didn't really think to.
No, and due to catastrophic equipment failure, we only have two working lapel mics left in the studio, hence the reason I am using a phallic object to pick my mouth noises up.
Your mouth noises.
So, Beazle.
Yes.
Was it me? It was me. I'm really sorry.
Are you connected to the Bluetooth speaker?
Yeah,
I
I'm
was going to say,
connected.
I wonder why that came out the Bluetooth then.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So, Beazle.
Hello.
Why don't you, before you tell us about these guitars, tell us about the guitars that you kind of grew up playing and what inspirations you took from those to put into your signature guitars.
Okay, cool. Well, obviously I'm a huge Nuno Bettencourt fan. So and my first guitar that was mine was a Washburn X50, if you remember them. Mm-hmm. And loved it. And then saved up some... Oh, nice one, thank you. Saved up some money and I got myself an N4, and it was the Padauk N4, the one I got first. And then fast forward a few years, met Rob, met you, met Chapman, started working with Chapman, and then you offered me the opportunity to make a signature, which was amazing. And I basically recreated an amalgamation of an X50 and an N4 and put it together,
right.
Which is why it was quilt top, a bit orange, but then very much one volume, one tone, all that stuff.
Maybe a picture on screen now of what the original Rob Beazle Chapman and signature.
And then I relicked it and turned it into basically the relict N4 that Nuno uses because I'm that much of a fanboy. But then there was time to do a second one. I was lucky enough to do a second guitar, and so what I did was I loved the idea of having the Padauk neck. So I took inspiration from that N4, the first one, so that's why it has a Padauk neck, but it's still got the Alder body like the N4 or the first Beer Sig. But then obviously it's a T-type now, so it looks very different. And I think the reason was I kind of changed my tastes.
I think you developed more as an artist in the interim period between that one guitar and then the second guitar, didn't you?
Definitely. I think I mean, to be fair, let's be honest, when the first one came around, it was very much like, well, mates, we'll just, have a guitar, have a custom guitar. And I was like, well, ages ago, and it was great to do. But this one definitely felt like more of my own kind of thing as opposed to something I just ripped off.
So take us through what have we got spec-wise on here, and why did you choose the actual components that are on it?
So I guess firstly the top. I fell in love with PRS guitars, as we all love PRS, and I really like the idea of a figured top, like a proper slab of maple. So it's a 5mm cap on an Alder body because I like the sound of Alder. I got rid of the Floyd Rose because I stopped using it. Just stopped using it. I used to block it off and just, apart from the odd dime squeal, it wasn't really something I was that bothered about. And then, but instead I got a 2-point trem so that it still sort of appeals to those that enjoy the Floyd, but also myself, I like every now and again I'll do a bit of dive bomb action. So it's a Wilkinson trem, but it's got a big fat brass block in the back of it.
You find that makes a big difference?
Yeah, it's got more sustain, it rings more. And that, to be fair, is something we ended up doing in all the Chapmans with 2-point trems on, is just putting brass blocks in them because it does make a difference.
It's worth saying now, I suppose, that obviously this is entirely biased. A, because you're an artist. B, because Rabea is also part of the design team at Chapman Guitars.
Yeah. So then Padauk neck, ebony fretboard, stainless steel frets, glow-in-the-dark side dots, which I can say are an absolute lifesaver when you're playing live. Genuinely, so many times lights have gone off or the light guy doesn't know what he's doing and you're like, and then you can just see what you're doing. It's immense.
If you ever come and see Dorje playing in the future and you see us doing this,
Yeah.
it's because we're having a rough night and we can't see shit.
Yeah, sometimes it's really bad. And it's 22 frets, always 22. I've never really played 24 fret guitars. Open gear lock and tuners. Bolt on, and that was a deliberate decision because I found that bolt on guitars had a snappier response than set or neck throughs.
Is the scale links just a traditional?
This is 25.5.
Okay, so it's a Strat style scale.
Why don't you tell us about lay pickups?
So this is the Henchman set, and basically I used to use a Seymour Duncan 59 humbucker. That was like my favourite neck pickup, and then I got one of your RCs. We used to
Never
record
gave it
with
back.
Yeah, I've still got it somewhere, and it had a little 59 in the neck, and it was interesting because it's supposed to be just a smaller version, but in so many ways it had more of a bluesy bite to it. Even though the 59's a beautiful pickup, this one was a little bit less boomy, and for what I like to do with the ambient-y, plinky, clean stuff, it really worked well. So the neck pickup is sort of based around the little 59 tone, and then the bridge pickup, it looks very much like a pickup brand that I do use a lot, which is Bare Knuckle, and it's based on my favourite pickup from Bare Knuckle, which is a War Pig, but it's less output because War Pig's like 21.5, and also I really loved the HFS in your
Hot Fat Screams of my PRS Custom 24.
in that Wednesday, the
Wednesday,
black,
Mark
yeah,
II.
that pickups in that are so good, and they're kind of a bit chewy, so it's kind of a mix between HFS and a War Pig.
What's really cool is that these decisions are based upon recording experience with pickups that we use a lot in Dorje and obviously you in Tosca. So MR3RC, Wednesday Mark II, we've used those guitars on almost everything that we've done together. And then you kind of went, we're just going to mix that with everything you like, and that's what these have become.
And suffice to say, on recording, they sound really good, and live, of course, they sound great too. And the other thing that I really wanted to point out was the 5-way. So I used to use a coil split and a 3-way, and I liked the idea of 2 and 4 being a bit more like a Strat, how they kind of blend those positions, and you get these nice, I don't even know how you describe it, but I like a nice rounded vocal tone.
So is it the same 5-way switching that you'd get on a PRS? So 2 and 4 are basically sort of different coil split versions of this.
So what you've got is position 1, bridge. Position 2, you've got full bridge, half of the neck.
Oh, okay.
3 is full. 4 is full neck, half of bridge. And
So it's not. So I see. So it's always one of the humbuckers is full. It's just the other one is coil tapped, and then they run kind of in that out of phase sort of wiring to give. I see.
that was something that we tried loads of different wiring options. Pablo came down, and this is the one I found. I'd sat for about 45 minutes just playing, and then Pablo was like, "Is it all right then?" I was like, "It must be. I've been playing for the last hour." Yeah.
And what do you traditionally? You don't use like a standard tuning, do you? Even on the 25.5-inch one.
I almost exclusively play in E flat as the highest I'll go, and really I mostly play in drop C and drop A, which is not on this guitar. That's on the other one.
I like it. Locking machine heads. That's were they on your old? I know because you had a locking nut on the old one, didn't you?
These are the open gear grip lock tuners, and to be fair, they just handle
I remember
everything.
in the early days of Chapman, you were the one that was constantly taking the sort of the chisel out and trying to get this this sort of cutaway right. So tell us a bit more about that.
It was I took some sandpaper to an old prototype, and then we sent that to Korea.
Yeah.
And then they basically replicated it on things like the 7s and just different. And then we sort of tried to incorporate it here because I've got massive hands, and on a guitar like this, it's just nice that it keeps out of your way a little bit more. So there's much more room to do wider vibrato if you play up this high, which sometimes, occasionally, I like to try. And so the whole spoon cut thing, the front and back, I think it's just a nice aesthetic and it's practical.
How many of these do you own?
I've got 3. I've got the first prototype, which looks nothing like this. The second prototype, which to be fair, I use a lot because it's the one with this random strip that they forgot to paint there.
Yeah.
But the top is so stunning that I just can't put it down. And then I have an actual production run one as well that I use. And I'll alternate between the two live.
And it's like a weird thing, and obviously people will have all sorts of questions and answers about this kind of thing. But why did you stick with this guitar? Why not go with PRS or with another brand? Or we're friends, but if you were like, Rob, you know what, I want to go with Mayons or I want to go with Washburn, why wouldn't you? It'd have been fine with me. Why wouldn't you do that?
Obviously, I'd have cut you out.
Oh yeah, totally. That'd be it. I'd just be exiled from the Andertons, from everything.
Like Rabea's literally family. He's the godfather of my son now, so he could do whatever he wants. But why did you stick with Chapman, and why did you stick with that design?
I suppose. All right. Well, I think for me, loyalty is a massive thing generally in life, and so I'm very keen on being loyal to my friends and family. first and foremost, but also like, yeah, you give me the freedom. Like you say, you can play whatever you want, but then also you can make whatever you want. So I got to make the guitar that I ideally would like to play, particularly in original material, writing, riff writing, soloing, all that kind of stuff. This kind of does everything I want it to do. Of course, I love playing like Fender Strats, but it's a different thing, and I'll play very, very differently on a Fender Strat than I will on this.
You know what? There are two things in my memory I wish I could have shared with the people on YouTube. The first event is when you first got that guitar.
Oh, in Brighton Electric?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other event is when you saw them being made in Korea.
That was immense.
Yeah.
I must admit, when we went to the factory a few months ago, and you just see like lines of them, and just think, man, someone's going to own
It
one of
looked
those.
like you'd had a kid.
Yeah.
He was so proud.
Yeah. I hope I look more proud when I actually have a kid than I do in that photo.
I promise
Otherwise,
you
there'll be
will.
a problem.
On the non-bar, what do you call like a non-baritone, like just a
Standard scale.
Standard scale. What when you're doing the Dorje and the Tosca stuff, where does this one feature? Is it more the riff guitar as opposed to the ambient guitar, or is it what's the?
They're both kind of equipped to do exactly the same job. It's just most of the time I'll play in this tuning, in a drop C tuning. Well, this is in drop C sharp right now. So for like your Aeromancy and like Chalk Teeth and a lot of the like, I don't know, riffier, more intense, punchy songs tend to get written in a tuning like this. Whereas the baritone, it's like doomy and dark and grim and just
It's probably
so moody.
Worth mentioning that we've replicated the Dorje rig. In Dorje, when I'm just singing and not playing guitar, Rabea slaves my amplifier. So we've got my amp set up the way that I have it, following with a Kraken. And so the two amps combined really give you the sound that we have live.
Yeah, and to be fair, it's not too dissimilar to what I use in Tosca. It's always a dual amp setup, but to be fair, Rob's amp with the Kraken always just sounded really good.
It's like the Intercontinental. It's like America, kind of, and England, kind of, combined. And you get that gritty crunch and then the creamy, smooth power. And together it's just like a pint of Guinness with a bag of crisps, do you know what I mean?
Right, even though Guinness is Irish.
Well, I suppose if you shifted, sort of England one way a bit and America the other way a lot, you'd get Ireland, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah, there you go. It's the Irish sound.
It's plausible.
It's a perfectly good.
A place we've never been to.
Yeah, I've never been to Ireland.
No, I'd love to.
No.
All right, so yeah, I'll go through the pickups real fast. This is kind of a crunch, but this is bridge pickup, so it should be nice and barky. It's all about getting chord definition.
Is it ceramic, that one?
Yes, it's a ceramic magnet. Good one. So it's like really bold, yeah?
But sorry, and then that one's Alnica 5.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So if you blend the two, you've got both kinds of magneton. And you can get both humbuckers at the same time, can't you?
Yeah.
What does it sound like?
Like this.
That's so Philip Ace, isn't it?
It's definitely got that.
I like the
jangle.
I like that when you take the volume down to clean the amp up, it still retains the sparkle.
Yeah, because on both pickups you mean?
Well, I don't know about specifically on the pickup, but when I hear you play, you get this incredible clean sound by just backing the volume of the guitar down.
Yeah, I think part of that's due to it being always on a gain channel. So there's tons of like harmonic content in the signal, but you can just. They're chimey, which I really, really love. So just going back a position, this is position 2. So. It's more of like your funky, spanky tone.
Yeah.
We've already heard both at the same time. This is one of my personal favourites, which is position 4. It's very telly. It's very telly middle position. And then I always add a little bit of reverb and delay to the mix. Yeah, it's very dynamic. And then position 5, which is the neck pickup, which is just a bluesy.
Has it got 10s on it?
Yeah, they're actually really thin strings. It was hung up in the shop, so this is definitely not a gauge I would
Tell
use.
them what you normally use.
11 to 60 in drop C, and then 13 to 68 in drop A.
Yeah. 60. I can tell that it's not, although it's a comfortable guitar for you.
It feels familiar, but it's very much like when you go for a bend, you're like, oh, it's a bit warm.
Oh, that bend went further than I expected it to go.
When you thought you were just going to let one out, and then a bit more you go, oh.
Yeah. Pull it back, bring it back.
That sounds great, man. Do you want to literally, I just, give me like 20 seconds of your favourite Nuno Betancourt sound on that guitar.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll change to the baritone.
My favourite.
Because Nuno's probably watching, you know that?
Absolutely.
I hope not.
Moving swiftly on, or not swiftly, moving slowly. I've got.
Swiftly moving on.
Give me the Grey Beast. Thank you very much.
That one's called Smoke as well, by the way.
Beer smoke.
That's the beer smoke.
Beer smoke.
What's this one then?
Crimson.
Ooh.
I asked for a blood red baritone, and this is what it actually took 4 or 5 revisions to get this colour right, because it just needed to be right. And you know when you just see something, you go, yeah, that's the one. That's what this was.
And similar pickups, but there's a slight change to the bridge, isn't there?
I think the bridge on this one, if I remember correctly, I just spec'd slightly lower output because it's so much lower in tuning. I figured if it was compressing a lot, it'd get mushy.
But the strings are much thicker too, so you're going to get more output.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what strings are on this guitar because it was hung up in the store.
I think they're guitar strings. I think.
There's a possibility they might be, but yeah, the baritones. I love this.
Yeah, definitely guitar.
Do you want gain 1 or gain 2?
I'll just give you some.
A or B?
I'm just going to give you some wall of sound.
Okay.
How about that?
How about that?
That's lovely.
I don't know what the history of the baritone guitar is. I mean, it's such a great instrument, and yet it never feels like it's. I mean, I'd have a baritone over a 7-string any day of the week.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
I mean,
100%. Yeah.
That's the reason why
it doesn't
wanted
seem to be that common, does it? Baritone guitars.
Did Rickenbacker invent the baritone guitar?
Well, I don't know if it's like the Fender Bass 6, you know, the
yeah.
But whether
That's quite old, isn't it?
yeah, I mean that was a 60s product, but whether or not, you know, was that where the baritone came from, or is it even
I actually don't know.
I genuinely don't know.
I thought it was a story about 2 people arguing over guitar. They just
Maybe. It was a very, very, early adopter of gent from the 60s called Baritone.
Right, Baritone.
That
was the guy.
But he died tragically young before anyone had ever heard of him.
Baritone, may you rest in...
We are dads, so these kind of jokes are
I
perfectly legal.
really want to hear, but tell us about the guitar. I really want to hear what this sounds like with that plasma drive.
Oh yeah,
but I also want to hear you just go.
So a quick bit of background on the guitar. I really wanted to get into playing baritone guitars, and I'd not really had a lot of experience with them. Mike Mushuk, who is the guitar player in Stained, had a signature Ibanez, right? And it was this natural finish, like beautiful, like S-type baritone guitar. And they were incredibly rare. And I played one once, and within 5 minutes of playing it, I was like, I definitely want to play a baritone guitar again. And then I went on the internet and I was looking at this. I was just trying to find a reasonably affordable one. And I sent it to you. I was like, oh, what do you reckon this would be like? And you were like, what are you doing? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, if you want a baritone, it's about time you have a new SIG come out anyway. It's been a few years. We'll just make you one if you want. I'm like, oh, okay. So obviously I went and found some archives on like the scale length, radius and stuff like that on the Mike Mushuk, because it was discontinued. You can't get them anywhere. So that took a lot of inspiration. His was 28-inch, so that because he played in really low tunings like drop A, drop G, like an octave below, and all that stuff. 28 inches is hardcore, man.
It is hardcore. It's over 2 foot.
Yeah, it's deep. You get some depth out of that. You really do. So yeah, the scale length is. I asked for a 28-inch scale guitar. Oh my god.
It's fine. I'm laughed out now. It's all good. You can tell. Except.
Bia, why don't you play the guitar?
Yeah, it's pretty heavy.
Coming on an album to you guys soon.
Well, I'm going to plug this plasma pedal in so that you can play us out with this. But whereabouts can people find more about Rabea Massaad and these wonderful guitars?
So you can go to chapmanguitars.co.uk to check them out. I have my own YouTube channel, and we're in a band together. I guess if you just Google me.
I do that all the time.
I like to do
Google me.
I like to Google myself.
Right, let's plug this in. Could you also tell us, have you always...
sweat this much?
How do you... Yeah. How do you manage to masticate and play guitar at the same time so brilliantly?
What does masticate mean?
It means chew.
Oh, right. I was like, are you trying to be rude?
No. You have this thing that you sort of you subconsciously chew.
we both do it. We both get a bit gurney
whilst you're playing. I just notice it much more with you than
I do it really badly, and I'm not.
I'll tell you why.
It's one of those things you don't even feel it.
Right.
It's because he's really feeling what he's playing.
Right.
And when you're feeling it, your body's trying to express it in its familiar terms.
Yeah, I totally don't know I'm doing it.
So, I wonder if we could just get some pickup tones from this baritone guitar. Would that be okay? Bringing it back to the review.
A sensible review.
Sorry, were you getting carried away with tonnage? Right, bridge pickup. I'll take a bit of reverb off. Yeah, it's definitely more HFS-y than the 25.5, and I think that's due to the change in the pickup also being so much lower. You don't get as much as the... I really didn't want it to be like a progressive metal sounding guitar, so that when you put loads of gain on it, just gents away. I really didn't want it to be aimed at that. But anyway, so that's bridge, and then I'll just go through it and show you some stuff. a lead guitar because that wound G string, but
Yeah.
I'll try it again.
It sounds to me like, when you hear those pieces of classical music that are composed with where the cello or something like that is the main instrument, and it just got that big, searing, bassy, ambient.
Well, you
kind
can
of
feel the
vibe to it.
floor in this room going to go.
Yeah,
"Vuh."
it's just such an interesting sound.
It's addictive just to turn on some reverb and literally I could sit for hours and just play like. And then
That was a great harmonic.
It's when the bottom string acts as the drone. And
Yeah.
It's just insane, isn't it? But
and then finally just the neck, which would be very similar to the other one, but it's just warm. And to be honest, when I use it live, it's the amps are really cranked and there's more gain so that you get a little bit more clarity, but yeah.
So
basically
we
how it
haven't
sounds.
spoken about the price.
haven't we?
No.
You're looking at me now as if I should know.
Well,
It's $12.99, right?
I think the baritone, one's dearer than the other, isn't it? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Should we just put links in the
well,
description below?
two of us
Because
own the
it'll be-
company.
it'll
One
be
of us
different
owns
in
the
different-
store, and one of us is the artist.
Yeah, it'll be different in different countries. So it's definitely, I'm sure it's...
Oh, the price is definitely bing.
Yeah, it's worth saying that when you gave me the remit to make a signature, you said literally do whatever you want to do. Which is why the price is what it is, because I spec'd it up to the eyeballs.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we didn't want it to be the objective that we just sell thousands because they're affordable and the people are happy. The objective was to make Rabea
a guitar I wanted to play all the time,
Yeah.
And I absolutely love them. Genuinely, it's
There is-
great to play.
There is a baritone in the Chapman range, not a Rabea signature
ML1
one,
standard,
but, if you are shopping on a more modest budget, there's a very cool baritone in the standard range.
Yes, there is. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, this is just got a unique sound. I think the combination of woods and the pickups and the whole selecting situation
Woods?
make it. But woods don't make any difference to the sound of a guitar. It's just aesthetic. I mean, I personally think I'd have preferred it to be made out of agathis, which is a type of wood.
Amethyst.
It's one of my favourite authors.
In fact, my best,
39 steps.
the guitar I own that sounds better than any
Agathis
other
Misty.
is made from MDF.
What?
Yeah.
The guitar you like better than anything is made from MDF.
In my nightmares.
Right. Sorry. Well, no, do you know what? Let's not fuel that fire. Because
Lee,
I'm
did you
sure-
almost not get the sarcasm
Well, no,
that Rabea
it-
was talking
An
about?
MDF guitar.
I just think
Dave has
it's,
an MDF.
I think the whole idea of certain woods being better than other woods is subjective, isn't it? I bet you could. I mean, I thought that guitar that Fender made out of cardboard sounded okay. I mean, how practical it was and all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying, I think woods make a difference, but how you define better or worse is subjective.
You know what is
It's
better?
the people that say wood doesn't make a difference are the ones that I fundamentally disagree with.
Yes.
Me too.
What's better is that I've been Rob Chapman.
I've been the captain.
And I've been Rabea.
Rabea 28-inch Massaad.
See you later.
Oh, warm.
Oh,
28 inches is hardcore, man.
It is hardcore. It's over 2 foot.
Yeah, it's deep. You get some depth out of that. You really do. Some low end.
for God's sake. We're in our 40s, Lee.
I hope this gets kept in the video. I'm just talking about the scale length. I'm the only one here out of 3 dads that is kind of just chilling. You're all parents, for God's sake.
Professional face.
28-inch scale goes deep.
Leave the room. It's 110 years of experience here. We can keep this together.
We can. So yeah, the scale length is. I asked for a 28-inch scale guitar. You know, because he's laughing out there. That's why. Yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
So it's
I
a
know
28-inch.
For God's sake. Why?
It's a longer scale than normal.
It's an extra 3.5 inches. Well, actually, it's 2.5 inches. So not much. Marginal gains, you know.
Come on.
That's what I tell myself every night.
Marginal gain.
Yeah. Couple of inches longer.
Nightmare.